You ever feel like you're just pretending, like at any moment, somebody's gonna figure out you don't belong, that you're not as smart, not as talented, not as worthy as they think? Let me tell you something. I know that feeling. That voice in your head that whispers, you're not enough, you don't deserve this. Sooner or later, they'll all see the truth. That voice is a liar. And today, we're shutting it down for good. Imposter syndrome, man, it's like a shadow following you everywhere you go. You step into a new opportunity, a new challenge, and instead of feeling proud, you feel scared. You feel like you tricked the world into believing in you. But here's the truth, you didn't get here by accident. You didn't stumble into success. You worked, you earned, you fought to be here. And no, it wasn't luck. It was YOU. Listen, I used to second guess myself all the time. Early in my career, I'd walk into a movie set standing next to actors with years more experience and think, what am I doing here? I had two choices: believe that doubt or prove it wrong. I chose to put in the work, to prepare harder than anybody else in the room, to commit so deeply that failure wasn't even an option. You want to know how to overcome imposter syndrome. You decide that you belong, and then you back that decision with relentless action. You see, the problem isn't that you're not capable. The problem is that you're measuring yourself by somebody else's highlight reel. You're comparing your raw footage to their best moments. And that's not real. Every person you admire, every successful individual you think has it all together, has doubted themselves too. The difference, they didn't let that doubt win. They didn't let fear keep them from stepping up. Let's be real, fear and doubt are natural, but you can't let them run your life. The only way to silence imposter syndrome is to take action despite it. You don't need permission to be great. You don't need someone else to validate you. Your success, your journey, your story, it's yours to own. And if you're waiting for the day when you feel completely ready, when all the doubt disappears, you'll be waiting forever. You ever notice how we're our own worst critics? We'll spend hours picking apart our mistakes, replaying every little thing we did wrong. But when it comes to our wins, our successes, we brush them off like they don't even count. That's imposter syndrome in action. It convinces you that your achievements aren't real, that your success is just luck. That one day, everybody's gonna figure out you don't deserve it. But let me hit you with the truth that'll change your perspective. If you weren't meant to be here, you wouldn't be here. Carry it. Think about it. The world doesn't hand out opportunities for no reason. You're in the position you're in because you showed up, because you delivered, because you have something valuable to offer. But imposter syndrome, it's like a bad filter over your vision, making you blind to your own greatness. And that's gotta stop today. I remember when I first stepped onto the set of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Man, I had no formal acting training. I wasn't some seasoned pro. I was just a kid who got a shot. And you know what? That little voice in my head kept saying, you don't know what you're doing. You don't belong here. But instead of running from that fear, I leaned into it. I studied, I learned, I committed myself to being better every single day. Because that's the secret. You don't overcome imposter syndrome by waiting for it to go away. You overcome it by proving it wrong with action. Now, let's talk about setbacks. Because they will come. And when they do, imposter syndrome will use them as fuel to try and break you. Maybe you mess up a presentation. Maybe you lose a client. Maybe you don't get the result you wanted. And what's the first thought? See, I knew I wasn't good enough. That's the trap. That's the lie. Let me tell you something. Setbacks don't define your worth. They don't erase your talent. They don't mean you don't belong. All they mean is that you're growing. Every single person at the top of their game has failed, has fallen, has felt like giving up. The difference is they didn't. You want to unlock your full potential now. You got to stop playing small. Stop waiting for permission to be great. Stop acting like you're some accidental success. Start owning your power, your skills, your journey. Because here's the truth: nobody is going to come to you one day and say, "Hey, congratulations, you're officially good enough now." That moment doesn't exist. You create. Look around at the people you admire, the ones you call successful. You think they never doubted themselves. They did. They just refused to let those doubts run their life. That's the choice in front of you. Do you let the fear control you, or do you step up anyway? Do you stay trapped in the lie of imposter syndrome, or do you rewrite the narrative? Because, let me tell you, the only thing standing between you and everything you want isn't talent, isn't intelligence, it's belief. The belief that you are enough, the belief that you are capable, the belief that you can and you will. So today I want you to make a decision, a real decision, not just in your head, but in your actions. No more downplaying your success. No more brushing off compliments. No more shrinking when you should be shining. From this moment forward, you walk like you belong. You speak like you deserve to be heard. You move like the world is lucky to have you. Because guess what? It is. When was the last time you really gave yourself credit? Not just a quick, "Yeah, I did okay," but a real moment of appreciation for everything you've been through, everything you've worked for, everything you've earned. See, most people struggling with imposter syndrome, they don't even stop to acknowledge how far they've come. They don't celebrate their wins. They just move the goalposts further and further, thinking, "Maybe next time I'll finally feel like I deserve this." But let me tell you right now, there is no next time. That magically makes you feel worthy. That feeling comes from you, and you gotta claim it right now. You ever notice how we don't doubt our failures the way we doubt our successes? You mess up, and your mind immediately accepts it. "Yep, that's just me, not good enough." But when you win, when you achieve something big, suddenly it's all, "That was just luck. They must have made a mistake. I don't really belong here." Man, that's crazy, right? That's how deep imposter syndrome runs. It's programmed you to doubt yourself even when the evidence is right in front of you. So here's what we're gonna do. We're flipping the script. I want you to start seeing yourself the way the world sees you. Not through the lens of fear, not through the voice of doubt, but through the truth of your actions. Look at what you've done. Look at the times you pushed through, even when you were scared. Look at the moments you showed up, even when you felt unqualified. That's not an accident. That's not luck. That's why, and the sooner you start toning that, the sooner you take back your power. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what if I really don't know enough? What if I really do get exposed? Let me hit you with a psychology fact that's gonna change your perspective. Studies show that the people who struggle with imposter syndrome the most are actually the ones who care the most, who push themselves the hardest, who set the highest standards. The fact that you're even questioning yourself means you're already ahead of the game, because the people who don't care, they're not the ones losing sleep over whether they're good enough. They're not the ones working twice as hard to prove themselves. You are. And that says everything. You ever heard the saying, "If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room"? See, you're feeling imposter syndrome because you're growing. You're leveling up. You're stepping into spaces that challenge you, and that's exactly where you need to be. The goal isn't to feel comfortable. The goal is to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's where real growth happens. Now, let's talk about something big: identity. See, imposter syndrome isn't just about doubting your skills. It's deeper than that. It's about the story you tell yourself about who you are. Maybe you grew up believing you weren't the smart one, or the talented one, or the successful one. Maybe you were told, directly or indirectly, that you'd never be great, And now, every time you achieve something, that old story starts playing again. This isn't me. I'm not supposed to be here. But let me tell you something, just because a story was told to you doesn't mean you have to keep living it. You get to rewrite it. Think about the people who have changed the world. They weren't born into success. They didn't have a clear path. They had doubt. They had fear. They had moments where they felt like frauds. But they didn't let that stop them. They kept showing up. They kept pushing forward. And eventually, they became the people they once doubted they could be. That same transformation is available to you. But you got to stop waiting for permission. You got to stop looking for proof that you belong. You belong because you say you do. And that's enough. So, from this moment forward, I want you to try something. Every time a voice of doubt creeps in, every time imposter syndrome tries to pull you back, I want you to say 3 simple words. I am ready. I am ready to own my success. I'm ready to step into my power. I am ready to be great. Because guess what? You already are. Let's get real for a second. If you're dealing with imposter syndrome, it means you care. It means you actually want to be great. You want to contribute. You want to be worthy of the position you're in. That's a good thing. But somewhere along the way, you convinced yourself that you don't belong, that you're not as good as people think, that maybe you just got lucky. And you know what? That's fear talking. That's self-doubt taking control. And if you don't check it, it will run your life. Now, let me tell you something about fear. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is a signal. It's telling you that you're stepping into something bigger, something meaningful, something that requires you to grow. But here's the mistake most people make. They think fear means stop. They think self-doubt means they're unqualified. No, fear is proof that you're on the right path. Fear shows up when you're about to level up. Let me hit you with a personal story. When I first started transitioning from music to acting, I was terrified. Here I was, a rapper stepping into a world of trained actors, of people who had been doing this their whole lives. And that voice in my head started up, what if they see right through you? What if you mess up? What if you embarrass yourself? But I had a choice: either let that fear control me or use it as fuel. So I made a decision. I told myself, I may not be the most experienced, but I will be the hardest worker in the room. I will prepare more than anyone else. I will make sure that when my time comes, I am ready. That's how you overcome imposter syndrome. You don't let it stop you. Use it. Every time you feel doubt creeping in, let it be a reminder this is your moment to grow. This is your chance to prove to yourself what you're really capable of. You don't need to eliminate fear. You need to act in spite of it. Think about it like this: imposter syndrome is like an illusion. It makes you feel like you don't belong, like you're not good enough. But if it were true, you wouldn't be here. If it were true, you wouldn't have gotten the opportunity in the first place. And let me tell you something, opportunities don't just fall into people's laps for no reason. You got here because you earned it. Now, you just have to own it. And let's talk about setbacks for a second, because I know some of you are thinking, well, what if I do mess up? What if I fail? Let me tell you something right now. Failure does not prove that you're a fraud. Failure proves that you're trying. And trying is the only way you grow. Every single person who has ever been great at anything has failed. They have fallen. They have doubted themselves, but they kept going. Look at some of the most successful people in history. They weren't handed their success. They had to fight through the same fears, the same doubts, the same struggles you're facing right now. But the difference, they didn't let it stop them. They understood that growth comes from discomfort. That the only way to truly step into your potential is to walk through the fear, not around it. So let me ask you, are you going to let imposter syndrome keep running the show? Are you going to let that little voice in your head hold you back from your greatness? Or are you going to stand up on your power and take what's yours? Because I promise you, the second you decide to stop questioning yourself, the second you decide to believe that you belong, everything changes. You want to unlock your full potential now, then stop waiting for someone else to validate you. Stop waiting for the doubt to disappear. Start acting like the person you want to be right now today. Because the truth is, you already are that person, you just have to see it for yourself. Let me ask you something. If imposter syndrome was a person, would you let them talk to you the way you talk to yourself? If someone walked up to you right now and said, "Hey, you don't deserve your success. You're just faking it. Everybody's gonna find out you're a fraud." Would you believe them? Would you nod your head and say, "Yeah, you're right"? No, you would defend yourself. You'd push back. You'd say, "Nah, I worked for this. I put in the time. I earned my place." So why do you let that voice inside your own head disrespect you like that? See, imposter syndrome is like a bully. It doesn't fight fair. It waits until you're tired, until you're vulnerable, until you're standing on the edge of something new. Then it whispers, "You're not good enough." And the problem isn't that the voice exists, the problem is that we listen to it. We accept it as the truth when, in reality, it's nothing but fear dressed up as logic. And today, we're done falling for the lie. Think about everything you've overcome to get here. Every challenge, every obstacle, every moment you thought you couldn't go on but you did. Every late night, every early morning, every sacrifice you made to chase your dreams. Do you really think all of that was just luck? Do you really think you stumbled your way into success? No? You showed up. You did the work. You pushed them, and you're still here. Now, let's break something down. Why do we feel imposter syndrome in the first place? Where does it even come from? I'll tell you. It comes from comparison. It comes from looking at somebody else and thinking, they've got it all figured out. They belong here. I don't. But let me tell you something, you're comparing their final product to your behind the scenes. You're seeing their confidence, their success, their polished results, but you're not seeing their struggles, their self-doubt, their failure. You don't see the nights they cried themselves to sleep, the times they questioned if they were good enough, the moments they almost quit. Because they had them just like you. The difference, they didn't let those moments define them. Let me tell you a story. Back in the day, before I ever stepped in front of a camera, I had this vision of success. I thought, once I make it, once I'm famous, once people respect me, I'll never doubt myself again. But let me tell you something, I was wrong. Because the higher you climb, the louder that voice of doubt can get. Every new level brings new challenges, new critics, new expectations. And imposter syndrome, it doesn't disappear, it just finds new ways to test you. But here's what I learned. Self-doubt doesn't mean you're not ready. It just means you're human. Think about some of the greatest achievers of all time. They weren't fearless. They weren't immune to doubt. They just made a decision to show up anyway, to do the work anyway, to bet on themselves when nobody else would. And that's what you have to do. So let's talk about mindset. Because overcoming imposter syndrome isn't just about positive thinking, it's about rewiring the way you see yourself. It's about breaking the habit of self-doubt, and that takes work. That takes awareness. Every time that voice creeps in and tells you, you're not enough, I want you to stop. I want you to challenge it. I want you to ask, where's the proof? Because I promise you there is no proof. There is no evidence that you don't belong. There is no evidence that you're not capable. The only thing holding you back is the belief that you're not ready. And that belief, that's what we're letting go of today. Now, let's make something clear. You don't need to feel confident to take action. You don't need to feel worthy to show up. Confidence is not a requirement for success, it's a result of it. You want to feel like you belong? Then act like you do. Speak like you do. Move like you do, because the fastest way to overcome imposter syndrome is to stop negotiating with it. Stop entertaining it. Stop feeding it. You don't have time for that anymore. You are here for a reason. You have something to offer that nobody else can. Your experiences, your perspective, your skills, they are unique to you. And no one, N-O-O-N-E, can take that away from you. So stop waiting for the doubt to disappear. Stop waiting for someone else to validate you. Stop waiting for the day when you magically feel ready. That day doesn't come. You create it. Starting now, I want you to walk different. I want you to talk different. I want you to wake up every morning and remind yourself, I belong here. And I want you to say it until you believe it, because the truth is you always have. How long are you going to keep playing small? How long are you going to keep talking yourself out of your own greatness? Because let's be honest, that's what imposter syndrome is doing to you. Every time you tell yourself, I'm not ready, I don't deserve this, they're going to find out I don't belong, you are literally rejecting your own success. You are standing in the way of your own elevation. And for what? I lie? I feel? Man, listen, feelings are temporary. But the decisions you make based on those feelings, those can last a lifetime. Let me hit you with something. Real success isn't about who's the smartest, the most talented, or the most qualified. It's about who's willing to show up, who's willing to stand in the discomfort, who's willing to push through fear instead of running from it. Because let me tell you something, you don't become great by feeling ready. You become great by moving forward, even when you don't. You ever stop to think about how much time you waste doubting yourself? How much energy you spend questioning if you're good enough? What if you took all that energy and actually put it into your craft? What if instead of analyzing whether you deserve to be in the room, you spent that time making sure nobody could question why you're there? What if you just decided right now that you weigh enough and you're going to act like it? Because here's the truth, the people who succeed in life are the ones who never feel doubt. They're the ones who learn to move forward in spite of it. Let's break it down. What does imposter syndrome actually do? It keeps you playing small. It keeps you waiting for permission. It keeps you from taking up space. And that's the real tragedy, because every single time you hold back, every time you silence yourself, every time you shrink to make others comfortable, you are robbing the world of what you have to offer. And listen, this world doesn't need less of you. It needs more of you. It needs your ideas. It needs your voice. It needs your passion, your creativity, your leadership. But none of that matters if you're too busy hiding. Now, let's talk about fear, because that's the root of all of this, right? Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. And I get it. I really do. But let me tell you something about fear. It is a terrible decision maker. Fear will have you sitting on the sidelines of your own life. Fear will have you watching other people live out your dreams while you're too scared to take a step toward yours. And that's unacceptable. And not for someone like you. Not for someone who has already come this far. You ever notice that the things we fear the most never actually happen? You spend days, weeks, sometimes worrying about something that never even comes true. And even if it does, you deal with it. You survive. You grow. So tell me, if you survive everything life has thrown at you so far, why would you doubt yourself now? Why would you think that THIS is the thing that's going to break you? No. You are stronger than you think. You are smarter than you give yourself credit for. And you are more capable than you've ever allowed yourself to believe. Let's talk about identity, because that's where real change happens. You won't overcome imposter syndrome just by telling yourself, I'll do better next time. No, you overcome it by changing the way you see yourself. You have to rewrite the story. You have to stop seeing yourself as the underdog, the outsider, the one who just got lucky. You need to start seeing yourself as the person who was MEAT to be here, as the person who is just getting started, as the person who is stepping into their power, because that's exactly who you are. And let me make something clear: confidence is not something you wait for. Confidence is something you build. You don't wake up one day feeling 100 ready. You earn that feeling by showing up over and over again, proving to yourself that you can handle whatever comes your way. So stop waiting for the doubt to disappear. Start acting like the person you want to become, and watch how fast the world starts treating you that way. Now, I want you to do something for me. The next time you feel imposter syndrome creeping in, I want you to stop. I want you to take a deep breath, and I want you to remind yourself, I am here because I belong here. I am capable. I am ready. I'm enough. And I want you to say until you believe it, because the truth is you always have been. Let me hit you with a truth that might shake you a little. Your mind is the most powerful tool you have, but if you don't control it, it will control you. Imposter syndrome, that's not reality. That's a story your mind is telling you. And the thing about stories, you have the power to rewrite them. But most people, they don't. They accept the script they've been given. They let doubt run the show. They let fear be the director of their lives. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, why they feel like they're not enough. Let me tell you something: feeling unworthy doesn't mean you are. Thinking you don't belong doesn't make it true. See, the problem isn't that you're not good enough. The problem is that you've been measuring yourself with the wrong ruler. You've been looking at other people's success, their confidence, their highlight reel, and using that as proof that you don't measure up. But what you don't see, the years of struggle behind their success, the doubts they had to fight, the failures they had to overcome. You think they never questioned themselves. You think they never felt like they weren't ready. Man, let me tell you, every single person who has ever done something great has had that moment where they thought, maybe I'm not good enough. The difference, they didn't let their thoughts stop them. Now, let's talk about something real: perfectionism. Because a lot of times, imposter syndrome comes from this idea that you have to be perfect to be worthy. That if you make one mistake, if you don't have all the answers, then you're a fraud. But let me ask you something: who told you that? Who made you believe that perfection is the price of success? Because it's not. Perfection is a lie. It's an illusion. And if you keep chasing it, you'll never feel like you're enough. Think about it. Some of the greatest innovators, the greatest artists, the greatest leaders of all time weren't perfect. They made mistakes. They failed. They got rejected, but they didn't let that define them. They kept going. They understood that growth comes from imperfection. That success isn't about never failing, it's about learning from the failures. And if you're too afraid to fail, you'll never give yourself the chance to succeed. Let me give you a little exercise. Next time you start doubting yourself, I want you to write down every reason why you think you don't belong. Every fear, insecurity, every time you've told yourself you weren't good enough. And then I want you to look at that list, and I want you to challenge every single one of those beliefs. Where's the proof? Where's the evidence that you're not capable? I'll tell you right now, you won't find any, because imposter syndrome is built on fear, not facts. And here's another thing: your mind believes what you tell it. If you keep feeding it doubt, it will give you reasons to feel small. But if you start feeding it confidence, if you start telling yourself, I belong here, I am ready, I am capable, your mind will adjust. Your actions will follow. And before you know it, you'll be walking in a way that commands respect, speaking in a way that leaves no room for doubt. Because confidence is not about knowing you'll never fail. It's about knowing that even if you do, you'll get back up. I need you to understand something. You are already the person you're trying to become. You just have to believe it. You're not an imposter. You're not a fraud. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. The only thing left to do, own it, step into it. Stop waiting for someone to tell you that you belong. You decide that for yourself. And let's talk about your potential, because I promise you, it is bigger than your fear. It is greater than your doubt. But potential means nothing if you don't act on it. You can have all the talent in the world, all the intelligence, all the creativity, but if you keep holding yourself back, none of it matters. The world doesn't reward potential. It rewards action. It rewards the people who take the leap, who show up even when they don't feel ready, who keep moving forward even when they're scared. Now let me ask you something. What would your life look questioning yourself? If you stopped waiting for permission, if you stopped doubting your own greatness, if you just decided right now that you are enough, because let me tell you something, you are. You always have been. And the second you start acting like it, the second you start believing it, everything will change. So here's what I want you to do. Stop playing small. Stop shrinking to fit in. Stop letting fear keep you from stepping into your greatness. It's time to own who you are, to own your success, to own your future, because the truth is you've already won the battle. You just have to realize it. When will you stop letting doubt decide your future? When will you stop letting fear have the final say in your decisions? Because here's the truth. You will never feel 100 ready. You will never reach a point where all fear is gone, where every ounce of doubt disappears. And that's okay. Because confidence is not about the absence of fear. It's about the presence of courage. It's about standing tall in the face of your own uncertainty and choosing to move forward anyway. And I get it, imposter syndrome is loud. It whispers in your ear, you don't belong. You're not good enough. What if they find out you're a fraud? But let me tell you something, it's all noise. It's a broken record playing the same tired song, hoping you'll believe it. But you don't have to live by a lie. You don't have to accept the limits your mind tries to place on you. Because those limits, they're an illusion. They're chains you can break anytime you decide to step into your true power. Think about this. If someone talked to you the way your inner critic does, would you listen? Would you let them tell you that you're not enough? That you don't deserve success? No. You stand up for yourself. You'd fight back. So why do you let your own mind talk to you that way? It's time to push back against the doubt. It's time to start speaking to yourself with the same belief, the same confidence, the same respect that you give to others. Because you are not your fears. You are not your failures. You are not your mistakes. You are more than that. You ever notice how people who succeed don't always have the most talent, the most resources, or the most knowledge? But you know what they do have? Unshakable belief. They don't waste time questioning if they belong. They don't sit around waiting for permission. They step up, they show up, and they put in the work until there's no doubt left. THAD is the mindset that separates winners from the ones who never even try. And listen, success is not a magic trick. It's not reserved for a chosen few. It's the result of showing up for yourself over and over again until your skills catch up with your ambition. Until your confidence becomes undeniable. Until you become so locked in that nothing, no doubt, no setback, no outside opinion can shake your belief in yourself. And let's talk about setbacks, because you will face them. You will fail. You will struggle. And that's not a maybe, that's a guarantee. But here's the thing, failure is never the end unless you decide to stop. Every single failure is just a stepping stone. Every mistake is a lesson. Every setback is setting you up for something greater. But only if you choose to learn. Only if you choose to keep going. Because setbacks, they don't define you. What defines you is how you respond to them. So let me ask you, how are you going to respond? Are you going to let doubt run your life? Are you going to let imposter syndrome keep you small? Or are you going to stand up, take control, and step into the person you were meant to be? Because the truth is, you already have everything you need. The only thing left to do is believe it. Now, I want you to make a decision. Right here, right now. No more waiting. No more doubting. No more holding back. It's time to step into your greatness. It's time to own your worth. It's time to stop letting fear decide your future. Because you are capable. You are strong. And you are ready. This is Wisdom Recorder, your knowledge source. If this message hit you, if it made you think differently, if it gave you even 1 ounce of power over your doubt, hit that like button and subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because together, we're building something bigger. We're unlocking potential. We're changing lives. And it all starts with why you